What is up, guys? It is that Panda again. I'm here again with another video, and today, guys, let me just say at the start, I found out something new. Okay, I've been using this editor for a year plus, and I have never known this. Right, like you might notice in most of my videos or all my videos, I have this little border in either like the top area and bottom area, or the left and right. And the only reason it's in the left and right is because like I downloaded off my PC, and I don't know why it changes that, but it does. Well, apparently I can customize the size of the screen. Okay, I can apparently customize it by kind of clicking on the thing that I'm editing and just dragging the screen open. I didn't even know that, but now I can kind of get rid of that. Plus, I can try to test a little bit. In this video, I do kind of zoom in on some parts, like in the footage and stuff, and you'll see like kind of closer footage with less outer screen. Tell me if you guys enjoy that a little bit more. I'm gonna be trying to play around with that a little bit because I don't really know yet. I just found it and I was like, what the heck? This is awesome. And yeah, but we're looking at G3 right now. We will go to G2 soon. But it was Soar and their Legion. And I had specifically looked at this just because it was like the first action during the whole island, I think. Plus, Soar is just like I have some good friends there, so I was just checking it out, seeing what's going on. And honestly, this was a pretty sucky situation. I am kind of surprised at the reports. Like I can only assume that this was maybe they were struggling to keep this thing full. Plus, they were getting chain rallied, and this had to have hurt, right? So if one rally was going like this one, their alliance would make sure they were holding that thing at all costs. And the second another rally hit or whatever, they would cancel that. And I'm assuming they were chain rallying because Soar and whatnot kept launching counter rallies. And these counter rallies are very smart overall, and it's very helpful at doing massive damage to these rallies. But I will also say I was kind of surprised because I expected more like, let's say, range or rider rallies for these counter rallies, but they were running like a lot of infantry rallies. And if it was infantry, I could understand more if they were using like, in my opinion, I personally think like a Dut Eddy is an amazing rally pair. So I would kind of like it if they were running a rally like that, right? Because it's a good damage pair. But running something like I saw Peterson and I think Lewis, it just isn't the most optimal, like damage wise, and trying to drop this rally or do massive damage in short time and make it like hard for them to hold. But you see right there, boom, the rider rally canceled. Two other rallies go in and start basically hitting this thing. And it's like an infinite cycle of just people like canceling rallies, restarting the rallies. And I know this had to be annoying for both sides, probably especially defense, because you want to have maybe a minute or even like a minute of downtime, right? A minute of breaks, because then you can kind of reorganize yourself, get yourselves together and get everybody in order. But it kind of is hard when they're refusing to kind of take that downtime, and they're kind of forcing the pressure on you guys. And I think as attackers, usually it is harder, but especially with this new event and how you're able to all reinforce each other's rallies, that is massive, and that makes it way easier for attackers to kind of manage these rallies, manage a range rally, etc. Whereas previously, I think it was like very vastly in the defenders advantage. I still think that somewhat it is in the defender's advantage. You can make the argument that being able to run like 4 or so rallies is really painful to hold up. And I will agree, as defenders, you are doing a lot more counter damage, but I do think overall it does add an interesting aspect to things with how, you kind of have to play around that, and you kind of have to, kind of just play for that, right? Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but that one tower was getting murdered with May on it and stuff. And considering that they were rallying the tower for 5 minutes, I'm surprised it took them as long as it did to get a proper garrison captain in there, and they almost got screwed over by that. And this was the tower that you saw them hold for so long. Sorry if I cut off, but I do appreciate Soar for actually sending me this report, because, you don't have to do that, but I do appreciate it overall, right? And they sent me this report, and this was just disgusting. I honestly expected Soar to trade a lot better than they did. Maybe not on some of the rallies. I know that the enemy team did have an insane rally captain. And honestly, I think even if the enemy team wasn't running these chain rallies, they still could have traded really well. Considering they had like a person overall with just much higher gear and stuff. And if they wanted to, maybe ride that one player the whole time, I think it was, I can't remember which player it was, but he had like white parts and stuff. If he just wanted to run rallies the whole time and they just filled that one rally, they could have still traded really well. But considering that they were, I guess the enemy was maybe struggling, or at least I'm assuming they were struggling to kind of keep these, towers full and topped off, it made all the reports much better. Plus, like I said, a lot of counter damage on those rallies. And the thing is, I've seen a lot of groups do this thing where they'll have multiple people running rallies, and that in itself isn't a bad thing, right? Like having multiple alliances in a legion running rallies, that is a great thing. But you know what I saw? I saw this not in just any bracket, but I saw it in my bracket, right? And you would have one legion running, multiple rallies, and that in itself is really good, right? Like let's say all these people are 120 million, maybe all pretty decent gear. They're all T6, that's a pretty solid rally captains in, just an average bracket, I guess, right? But when you get to the point where, you have the T6 player, and I get wanting to put as maximum pressure as in like a short time as possible. But when you have, T6 players and you have them running rallies and you have multiple at that, and you have maybe, I don't know, like an 80 million, 60 million, someone non T6, maybe medium gear. Like the thing is, you got to understand, it doesn't even matter if their gear is bad. It doesn't matter if they even are T6 and the heroes are just mid, right? You have a proper garrison captain. And if you're especially running like a T5 rally, right? And you have the option to have like T6 players running rallies. Do not have that T5 player running rallies, because those rallies are going to get absolutely slaughtered against a proper garrison captain. And that did happen in our bracket quite a few times. It was very painful. Not in G1, but I was in G14 as well. Also, the thing you just saw was like someone getting swarmed, and basically what you do is you build like a tower up in mid, right? And you teleport on that tower, and then you random port, because if you're in that zone and you random port while being in that zone, it'll just basically pop you around that zone. It won't pop you around in any of the other zones. And this was just for anybody wanting to play risky and play a little crazy. That's exactly what you got. But like I said, I saw a lot of people, not a lot, but just in general, I saw people doing that. And it's like, why do you have people who aren't fit to be like rally captains running rallies? And it's not only that, you have just so many people mindlessly filling the rally. Like, dude, it hurts. It really hurts, man. Like, I'll show you guys in another video what I'm talking about. And I feel kind of bad, because this guy was a pretty nice guy. I think I've chat with him, but just don't run rallies, especially when you have when you have stronger players who are fit to do that. It pains me. Okay. Also, now we're looking at G2. Tell me if you guys like this kind of more zoomed in footage, more, I kind of like it. I kind of like being able to do this. But I talked about this in my last video, right? With the whole checkpoint hold and stuff. But I think ROK kind of did themselves in by doing this tower build up in mid. And I think they maybe had 4 or 5, 6 towers up here, right? For people to port on. And that in itself isn't the worst. But you got to consider this, right? ROK's Legion is very limited, and they're taking on 2 legions. While I think Mink and all them, like there was like a separate legion, they weren't being pressured. So ROK's Legion is probably going to be taking the main brute force of the damage. And I think that ROK really needed to back up to their checkpoint, play in the most advantageous way possible by just playing defensive there and being able to run counter rallies, forcing them to siege only one area, because they wouldn't be forced to defend multiple areas, like multiple towers. And the thing is with towers is you have so many of these getting swarmed that players are going to be burnt out way quicker. Like in an hour, for example, I might use all my troops defending a tower, because we might have 5 towers getting swarmed, plus all those other people maybe defending all those other towers. And that's kind of what happened here. Even if they weren't getting swarmed, they were getting rallied and pressured very heavily. But if it's a checkpoint, that can be isolated more. Plus, it's much easier to kind of defend that one point. So overall, it's just better for you to kind of defend that checkpoint over defending a tower. And like I said, they were defending so many towers. Plus, not only was that a problem, they were and they were getting like just spread really thin with even garrison captains, like you see here, Raygro and Lewis. This thing was taking terrible trades, and it took them forever to get a proper garrison captain. And I don't think they got it in time because it burns here. But you also had a lot of people coming through the checkpoint because there aren't enough tower locations here for people to actually port up. And then you have people marching for like a minute through a checkpoint, 2 bases to hop through to actually help reinforce towers. And that's just very inefficient. And I really think that ROK really should have just sat behind their checkpoint, because they do end up losing their checkpoint. And I think this is really a lot due to the fact that they are already maybe been broken through. And not only they were out of like troops, I think just a lot of their morale was kind of down. A lot of people maybe just logged off like, man, this sucks. And I also want to note, no matter how active your alliance is, no matter how smart they are, you're going to have people zeroed, because people are no matter what you do, no matter how much you enforce people shielding when they get offline, when those towers drop, someone's getting zeroed, right? And that does happen here. People get zeroed, and they could have maybe avoided that by playing the defensive behind a checkpoint. And I think I also mentioned this in my last video, but even if you do lose the checkpoint, let's say these guys had saved all their troops and weren't, using all their troops defending these towers at mid, all the resources defending these towers at mid. If they lost the checkpoint and they had to defend the towers behind the checkpoint, this minimizes how many towers they can get connected to maybe 3, 4 towers that are just connected to the checkpoint. And the other team is forced to march all the way through the checkpoint from the towers across on the other side of the checkpoint to siege the towers on the checkpoint. That means the ROK has the advantage, and the other groups in their legion has the advantage of refreshing their marches way faster. They have the advantage of just overall field control, and I think this really could have been won if they did that. You also got to remember that that there were factions here, right, attacking them together. There were multiple factions like ND21 in one faction, AOW, and then you have like DHX and all of them in another faction. Only one faction can siege towers through that checkpoint. So unlike defending at mid, where they have all these factions, sieging on them, they could literally just play the defensive on the other side of the checkpoint and force one legion on its own to actually go on the offensive, right? Like, I think that would have been way better for them. I think they would have been in a way better situation, and I think this really could have been played better. This isn't in a way to shoot at them. I feel like people in a lot of times will listen to these videos and think I'm like insulting the integrity of Alliance or integrity of a Legion, or saying, "Oh my gosh, you guys suck for making these decisions." I don't know what's going through their head. I don't know if, they just wanted to maximize their fun by playing at mid. I don't know, right? Like, that's up to them. I think that I personally think that they could have played this better, and that's just my opinion. And I just go in here and I want to tell you guys, my thoughts, why I think it would have been better for them to play in a different way and just cover mistakes and overall things that I think were pretty interesting during these events. Like, I don't want people thinking I'm some malicious evildoer who's trying to tear down ROK. I still think that ROK is an amazing group. These guys are honestly very powerful, and I think they might honestly be one of the top 3 alliances, not in might, but just in overall combat power at this point. Like, kind of an impressive group. But yeah, you guys give me your thoughts. If you guys are ready for the next videos. This is it for like G2. I didn't really have a lot for it. I didn't really record a lot or anything. And yeah, that's about it. So you guys have a great day or night though, and I will see you guys in the next video. So I will see you. Peace out.